And it's this question of Legionnaires disease. There were some incidences of it that were unusual, 80 or so cases. And there were suggestions that this could be tied to the water, right? And the county health department is saying that they were stonewalled from local officials, not state officials, local officials, on the possibility that this was from the water. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, that was a concern for me too, and I think Ron Fonger did a good article on this in the Flint Journal, and he went in and interviewed the public health officials locally. When I learned that there wasn't the response from the city, that was my focus. That was March of 2015. We still had an emergency manager in place, so those staff weren't directly reporting to me. But when I became aware of that's what I pushed for. Was there's no reason why a city shouldn't be providing information when a health department. It doesn't matter whether it's about water or about public safety or traffic or whatever the issue is. But this is what I mean about.
Did you feel like you couldn't? So you knew about it in March of 2015 or had questions about it then. Mm-hmm. Did you feel like you could go public with that and say, hey, we need to find out more about that? Did you put any public pressure on by talking about it publicly?
I didn't. I believe that was the role of the health department. I mean, they were the ones who were conducting the investigation. Mm-hmm. They were asking for information. The city needed to supply that information.
Yeah.
But in retrospect, just like we're talking about the tests of water needing to be disclosed, it
took a long time to do that. It took a long time to do that, and they didn't do it appropriately.
And the same thing can be said of the public health work. There need to be regular disclosures to the public, to elected officials. I'm not just talking about elected officials. I'm talking about to the entire public. What are the concerns? What are the risks? Maybe the health department says that the investigation is ongoing, but there needs to be transparency and there needs to be disclosure. Just like with a sensitive criminal investigation, I didn't feel that as mayor, as an elected official, that it would be right for me to, go out and make public comment on an investigation. But it is important for a prosecutor or a police chief, a public health director, I believe, should be doing.
Did they make that public at all when they ran into trouble? I don't remember that coming up at the time.
No, and I the information that they needed ended up getting, to them, and that was an important part of that investigation. I don't know that they've made a link. A lot of the cases were outside of the county.
No, but even so, you say we think it could be. It's giving people the information they need.
Right.
But when you've got all these other problems that are going on as well, that would be something that people should know so they can make their own choices.
And that's where we've got to go with all this. Whether it's water, public health, tests, investigations, those have to be disclosed to the public. And the people who know the most about them, the chiefs of police, the public health director, the prosecuting prosecutors, there needs to be more disclosure on all of this. That's the biggest lesson in retrospect. Disclosure, test results, investigations. The people who are looking at these need to be required to disclose. I don't care whether an emergency manager is in place or not. It shouldn't be a choice about whether there's disclosure. It all needs to be disclosed on a monthly basis, a quarterly basis, so these things don't go on for a year and a half.
Do you think that the governor, I know there's been calls on him to release internal emails and so forth, they don't have to do that. Do you think that they will? Do you think that they should disclose?
They absolutely should.
Yeah.
I mean, I know when I sat in my desk and when Dr. Mark Edwards asked for put in a FOIA request for all my emails with the EPA and the DEQ, he had them within a day or two. That's important.
Yeah.
I mean, when I sit at my desk as mayor, I'm being paid by taxpayers to be there. The taxpayers are paying the bill on City Hall, on the heat, on the electricity. I'm there in a public function, and the people have a right to know what's being done.
Yeah.
When did you talk to Dr. Hedman at the EPA? When did you hear from the Department of Environmental Quality? We're all working for the public, and that should be disclosed. And I hope the governor doesn't hide behind some technical issue.
Well, he doesn't have
Freedom
to.
of
He doesn't have to
Information
right now, but it would be good if he did. And I'd
He
be
should
interesting
disclose.
to see what he says tomorrow about that.
Right. Disclose the communication. You were working in a public capacity with a public salary
Right.
in a public role. What about that shouldn't be public?
Does that extend to? I don't think it does, but you'd know better. And two questions. I wonder if you saw Darnell Early's opinion piece in the Free Press over the weekend, and does the protections that are afforded the governor, does that include emails between him and his emergency manager? Well, can we get access to those?
That's a good
emails
question.
and so forth?
We should get access, because again, even though it's an appointed person, you're still talking about taxpayer money,
Yeah.
taxpayer funded salaries. It's all public.